I am Prophetess Shareta, and today I want to welcome to day 2 of Encourage. This is to continue to our leadership empowerment moments, and today we're going to talk about an issue that is not talked about in the body of Christ, is not talked about in the church, that's kind of swept underneath the rug because a lot of leaders don't want to deal with it. We're going to talk about mental illness, mental health, mental illness, which is a big problem in the church. A lot of people are not educated on it, and those of us that are educated, I have a degree in psychology. Those of us that do have degrees in psychology or clinical mental health or clinical counseling that are in the church, that attend some type of fellowship every Sunday, every Bible study, are not bringing awareness to the church on the issue, which is growing, and the numbers are growing. Please share. The disclaimer is this is for educational and informational purposes only. This is not intended to treat, cure, prevent, or diagnose any type of mental illness. If you suspect that you have a mental health issue, or if you notice any abnormal changes within your own personal behavior or emotions, or those that are in your household or someone in your local church, please seek the advice of your primary care physician or your neuropractic doctor at once. So I'm going to give the definition of mental illness. It refers to a wide range of mental health conditions, disorders that affect your mood, thinking, and behavior. Examples of mental illness include depression, anxiety disorder, schizophrenia, eating disorders, and addictive behaviors. Many people have mental health concerns from time to time. Over the course of the years, I say going back to 2000, there has been a fluctuation in number of people, especially pastors, those within a leadership capacity in churches that have committed suicide due to the fact that they were dealing with depression, due to the fact they were stressed, due to the fact they were overwhelmed, due to the fact that they may had an addictive problem or emotional problem, due to the fact that they had anxiety, and they had committed suicide and killed themselves, and found out months later that they were going to counseling because they were battling depression, or they were going to counseling because they was dealing with anxiety. And a lot of people that sit in church really don't know, when pastors go home, or when your leader go home at the end of the day, at the end of the preaching, we don't know what goes on behind closed doors unless they are transparent. And I want to encourage you all, pastors, apostles, prophets, whatever your leadership capacity in the body of Christ in your church, if you're overwhelmed or you have noticed some abnormal changes within your emotions or your behavior, it's not to brush that stuff underneath the rug in someone. And I want to encourage you, it's okay to get biblical counseling. It's okay as a pastor to seek counseling, because as in the field of psychology, every psychologist needs a psychologist. Every counselor needs a counselor themselves. It's okay to vent if you need to vent. Am I saying this wrong? No, I'm not saying it's wrong, but it's okay to vent if you need to vent. So with that being said, it needs to be addressed. It needs to be more and more workshops on mental health illnesses. There are some pastors that do have not only their ordained as a pastor, but they are ordained in biblical counseling. There needs to be an avenue or some type of your church and say, hey, we do offer biblical counseling. We do offer mental health counseling at this church. Not too many churches offer that. And I think if church door to the members that may be dealing with something on the inside, and maybe more and more people will get free and delivered. Now, one thing I want to point out is that a lot of people okay, that person is dealing with a mental illness versus that person is demonically oppressed or demonically possessed. You need to know the difference when somebody has a demon or a spirit in them and when somebody is actually going through something emotionally. One of the widest organs within our body that will continue forever to always be studied is the human brain. Why? Because science, how our brain operates, how our brain communicates with parts of the body, what causes this to trigger this. I always say, because a person count out, okay, that person is is possessed by a demon or a spirit is in that person. I said this one time: if a person get hit on the head hard, skull, the outside, your head, your skin, but it also can do damage to your skull, and it also can do damage to your brain as well. And because of that, damage has taken place due to a hard hit or a hard fall. It has caused some things to be out of whack within that person's brain. It's caused some things, the mechanisms that our brain use to operate and communicate emotions and different responses could be affected and could lead to a mental illness or mental health condition. But we in the body of Christ, we so quick to counter, oh no, dealing with something mentally. Not everything is the devil. I always tell people there's a lot of things that are natural. There's some things that's life, and you can't help life. Not everything. We quick to blame. Everything is not the enemy. But yet the word says we're dealing with principalities, spiritual wickedness in high place, demonic activities, rulers of darkness. Yes, we're dealing with those things, but not everything is. A lot of things is because, okay, there's climate changes every day that can affect a person's mental stability. There are environmental changes every day that can also affect a person's mental capacity. So we have to, in the body of Christ, we have to bring awareness, we have to bring attention to this matter, because if not, we're going to more and more pastors are going to be committing suicide because they have a mental health condition. More and more people that are part of the body of Christ that attend your church locally going to continue to deal with this issue because nobody is saying, okay, we offer counseling. The pastors are not giving announcements at the end of the service. Okay, everyone, we have something new that is taking place within the church. We're opening the doors up for those that may need biblical bereavement counseling, crisis counseling. We need to start implementing these things within the church. We say we believe, we say God has put us here to reach people. How, we know that in a secular scene, they have counseling for all of this, but we have this and we do it as well, but we do it in a biblical standpoint and by adding biblical foundations, helping you to overcome depression, biblical foundations to help you overcome anxiety and stress. We have biblical techniques that you can apply to your life to help you. It's not to discount, to say, okay, you take medication for this, that. It's to say, okay, let us tackle it biblical. We can still come at them at still on the same level as the secular. It's the biblical foundations. So I want to encourage you pastors. I want to encourage you leaders. I want to encourage you lay members. I want to encourage the entire body of Christ, even those that are in secular and clinical counseling. If you have a degree in psychology, you may not have the master's degree in psychology, but you have a bachelor's degree in psychology, but you can still help. If you're a pastor, those in your church, if you're a pastor, did you know you can provide counseling to those in your community? in your community, pastoral counseling, biblical counseling. But you want to first check with your state counseling board, because there's there's a difference between pastoral counseling from secular from having a license. You don't want to call yourself a licensed counselor. You can still provide counseling to those in your community, those who attend your church. I do it. I'm a pastor and I provide counseling. I have a degree in psychology, so I apply those principles helping someone overcome. Now, I don't diagnose, I don't prescribe, I don't treat or cure. But if I suspect, okay, this person has a mental illness, what I do is I make referrals to them to see, hey, a psychologist, or I make a recommendation. I'm not going to diagnose your illness, but I do recommend, because this is what I see, I do recommend that you seek mental health counseling. So I make it known to people that I serve in the community, or those that I serve that call me and say pastoral counseling. But if I see that you need mental health services, I'll make a recommendation or write a referral. So I want to challenge pastors, other members of the body of Christ, to bring awareness to your church, bring awareness to your fellowship. Open up having Bible study on have an open discussion on mental illness. You'll be surprised at the things that you'll learn from those that are part of your church. You'll be surprised who has a degree in clinical psychology or clinical mental health or clinical counseling that can provide resources to help the church, to help the people. Please share this. This is for informational, cure, prevent, or diagnose any type of mental illness. If you suspect that you have a mental illness or mental health condition, I advise you to seek advice from your primary care, United Way services. All you have to do is pick up the phone and call 211 in your state, in your city, and ask them, can they give you a list of resources? Give you a list of resources to counselors, clinical psychologists, clinical counselors, clinical mental health counselors in your state that can help you. And then not only that, your pastor, do they provide biblical counseling? Do they provide counseling? And if your pastor of the local assembly that you attend provide biblical counseling or biblical or counseling to those, say, hey, pastor, I want to receive counseling sessions. What do I have to do for me and my wife, or just me receiving sessions maybe once a week? You'll be surprised with your pastor. Please share this Periscope, because somebody needs to know. I'm trying to bring awareness to the mental illness and mental health that's in the church. And remember, not everything is